Good morning and welcome to We Got Options radio show with the doctor and son. This is a show about maintaining our overall mental health and wellness in our everyday lives. Thanks for joining us this Friday morning. Today we are talking about mental health and wellness trends for 2023. With this, we are going to be going into different levels of different things that we're seeing happening in the world of mental health and wellness overall in our lifestyle. And what some of the things that we're seeing is in the past year, last year, 2022, and this year, 2023, health and wellness, the trend has really kind of taken off. With that being said, we're starting to see a lot of different trends in those areas. Those trends coming around topics of fitness, definitely maintaining your mental health, your mental status, talking about nutrition. I am sure since COVID, we started talking about our immune system, keeping our immune system up, our sleep habits. That's a big component now. And then now we're also looking into, of course, physical health, our appearance, how our skin look. Some of the times we're thinking about how our hair look, whether it looks healthy or not. And then we talk about mindfulness. And then another big important factor that's a big trend right now is women's health and men's health, as far as, us taking care of our bodies on a daily basis. So with that being said, there are a lot of different things that's happening in the community. And with that, I was going to ask you, what do you think are some of the things that you're noticing in the community as far as things that people are really taking notice of? And I would probably say since COVID.
I would probably say that more than likely we've seen a more uptrend toward therapy and things of that nature. You've seen more commercials for it, more advocates for it all over, especially when we were in COVID. I've seen more therapy call centers pop up on TV so much over over that period of time. I can't name them off the top of my head now, but I remember that they were very big back then.
Yes, and I think they're getting even more popular. Some of the, ability to do therapy from anywhere, kind of like that, being able to have virtual therapy. I think that has been a big uptick as well since COVID, when all of us were on lockdown or stay at home
Mm.
protocol. So a lot of times, we've seen in the past few years is that, of course, in my profession with therapy, that we can actually work from home. That was a big concern for us as therapists in the field, going into virtual therapy. I remember years ago that wasn't something that we really, I'll be honest, we kind of frowned on it years ago, and didn't want to use any technology type devices to help us to maintain and, be able to work and utilize therapy. It wasn't, they weren't,
Well, that's understandable
mhm.
because having a person sitting in front of you is a very big thing in your profession, and you're able to glean a lot more from looking at someone and talking to them versus hearing someone's voice.
Absolutely. And I think the main thing was, back then that, like I said, technology was a no-no, kind of. Even social media was a no-no for us as therapists. So I think nowadays we are branching out into a whole new area with having virtual therapy sessions and being able to reach different levels of the community and different individuals and different places, and even be able to do group therapy as well. That's another thing that's, definitely we learned during COVID, is that we could do group therapy. That could be virtual as well. I think another big scenario that came about, because of a lot of the situations we dealt with in the past couple of years, I'm going to say, since, COVID, of course, or we've definitely experienced a lot more trauma informed care. That is a big uptick when we're talking about, of course, therapy, mental health, and wellness, is making sure that we are understanding that there is a good percentage, I would say more than half, maybe about 60% of adults that at least have one traumatic event in their life. And then I also believe that when we start thinking about that, more than likely, when we're talking about adults, thinking back to their childhood, a lot of adults have had maybe, I would say, 3 to 4 traumatic events, if not more, in their childhood that actually makes it more important for us to have this trauma informed care so that professionals can be very, very, on point and understand and educated on how to address some of these traumatic events. Like I said, during COVID, of course, a lot of us dealt with a lot of traumatic events because, there were a lot of sudden deaths and things like that that really was technically considered, traumatic for many families, with someone being fine today and 2 days later, they've passed on. So we've definitely seen, of course, like I said, the technology jump into play. We've seen more trauma informed care coming along from the traumatic events that happen in our lives. And, there's more than that, I'm sure. But like I said, we're just trying to, round up and talk about a little bit of the trends that are kind of being like an uptick in dealing with mental health and wellness. Of course, since COVID, we can also talk about fitness. When all the gyms closed down during COVID and we had to stay at home order, a lot of people were trying to figure out ways to, exercise.
That's when I think the
Mhm,
exercise, you saw a lot of the Peloton bikes
mhm.
going up because I saw a lot of those commercials during COVID as well.
Yeah, I think, being fit and definitely considering how we exercise, where we exercise. 'Cause, like, at that point, we were definitely confined to our homes. So fitness has become a big trend for 2023. We're noticing a lot of people are really focused on maintaining their good health, definitely boosting their immune system. We definitely have noticed that vitamin intake is a large part of individuals, businesses now, that they're seeing take off in that direction, where there's an uptick in people wanting to be um, be at the point where they're more healthier, where they're getting their vitamin D intake up. They're getting their ability to make sure that they are getting good sleep, taking vitamins, their water intake, just a lot of those different things around the fact of being well and being healthy.
Yeah, that I didn't take that much seriously until I really, as I got older, it didn't become much of a big thing in my mind. Like, early 20s, I wasn't taking as much at all. But
Hmm.
as I've gotten older, I'm like, yeah, it's not that much of a hassle to just stop and take your vitamins after you do your breakfast.
Yeah, and I think that's something that um, I have to say it. COVID was one of those things that definitely has helped to help, that we're definitely seeing the uptick in individuals being more healthy, being more considerate of their fitness, and being more considerate of the intake of the nutritional vitamins and different things that they need to take every day. So that is something else we're seeing. I think another big trend we're seeing is people setting healthy boundaries, not only just with different things in their lives, but two of the ones I wanted to consider is the healthy boundaries that people are trying to set now with social media and different things of that nature, with technology, because now we know it's here to stay. Whatever we may have thought years ago, hell no. I have to say.
I have to wonder,
Yes.
where did you think it was gonna go? But
Well, I mean, I have to say, pre-COVID, there were a lot of skepticism about technology. Now we're post-COVID. Technology's here to stay.
I mean, technology was always gonna be here to stay. I guess, in my opinion, from
Yes,
where I from my age group,
yes,
yes, it was always gonna like be here. I think it probably would have taken longer if COVID didn't happen
right.
because in certain there's always, I think, in any profession or anything at all, there's always, well, this is the real therapy. Like this is like like if you're learning how to do a push-up for the first time and you were to do like a they call it the girl push-up, but it's more like an assisted push-up.
Yes,
But it's fine if you're just learning how to do a push-up, just to do it with your upper body first.
yes.
It was built in safety. It was built for safety purposes, so you don't hurt
Hurt
yourself.
yourself. Right. So I
But
was, yeah.
but people put ego behind it, and it became the girl push-up. Like, it's not the girl push-up; it's an assistant.
So that you can help yourself. Right. It's a progression.
Yes, it's a progression.
it's
It's not.
almost-
It's not.
Yes.
So technology is not a hindrance. It is more of a a helping hand in your
For a lot of
profession.
different things that
Yeah.
we do. Yes, because I would tell anyone, and I say it still to this day, if I had to write my dissertation without the internet, I think I would have lost my mind. But I say that to say, you're right. I think we've seen the progression phase of technology, and we've seen a lot of, society resisting it.
Oh, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, as it should. I mean, it hasn't all been 100% great nowadays. I've heard
Yeah, we do have to set boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the internet will
Yes.
chew you up and spit you out if you let it.
Yes.
But I've heard recently that teachers have had trouble with homework assignments
Yes.
because they have AI that can write it now.
Oh, well, I understand. AI is another thing that is definitely in the mental health trend that we're seeing. A lot of apps become available with wellness and with mental health, because you can go on a fitness app nowadays, and you can go on
Eventually, I'm just waiting for the you're virtual trainer.
well, yeah. I mean, they have some things
Eventually.
like that, though. They do have some things like that. They have.
I mean, it's like that. Like, yes, of course, you can keep track of it all on
Mhm.
Fitbits or Apple Watches.
Mhm.
But I'm like, eventually, we're just gonna have it's gonna be like the Peloton. The person's gonna be running you.
Yeah, I totally understand. Totally understand. But I think, when we talk about the trends and we talk about where things are going, when it comes to mental health and wellness, I can see that there are a lot of different, different things that are happening. And like I said, setting boundaries not only with just social media, setting boundaries with screen time,
Oh yeah,
setting boundaries with, the amount of time that kids are, of course, their screen time, but
definitely had to do that one because
yes,
I had many a hard night's sleep, and it's like, yeah, if you give yourself at least about 2 hours before you go to sleep,
yes,
I'm out.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned artificial intelligence, because I'm going to mention a little about that as well, because that's something now that's involving itself more so in the clinical setting when it comes down to having technology.
I had a feeling we were going to get to that.
Yes, technology approved, for therapy sessions, mental health diagnosis, and different things like that. Now we're starting to see that, that's something that's coming into play. AI with mental health training and treatment and different things of that nature. Those are things that are going to be introduced to us in the new year and beyond, I'm sure. We're in 2023 now. As the years go by, 2024.
I think as long as it doesn't become purely that, it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, but I do not think it'll ever replace the traditional mental health service with human beings being involved. I definitely don't believe that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So another thing to consider also is the expansion of telehealth. Right now, Like we talked about telehealth on the front end a little bit, a little while ago, but telehealth is something that is, to me, amazing. It's really, you're able to definitely hit those communities that don't typically get services there. Now, with the internet being everywhere and everyone having access to services, with that expansion, telehealth is going to be a major part of healthcare in general. A lot of rural areas, a lot of areas that wouldn't necessarily get services or have services, um, be able to get services because they're in specific areas or they're, confined to their home. That's going to be another big
I,
part.
I am baffled that that didn't take off sooner. But but
Yeah,
but when you said that there was a bit of a stigmatism to it, I guess that was enough.
yeah.
In my personal opinion, I'm like that would have been my go-to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the mental health field, there was definitely challenges for us. I mean, we know that there were a lot of, no-no type things going on when we were practicing in the early 2000s and, mid to late 2000s. Yeah, there were a lot of no-nos when it came down to telehealth services, but it started, catching on slowly but surely. But now I tell everyone it's here to stay for sure. When people have transportation challenges, people have physical disabilities, can't leave their homes and things like that. It's definitely, and people now we realize that people with compromised immune systems and things like that, since COVID happened, them coming out to meet with people face to face, that's probably not something that's likely. So yeah, we're noticing that there are lots and lots of good things that are coming with some of the trends that we're kind of watching and seeing develop over the past 2 or 3 years. And like I say, 2023 would not be any different than the years to come, that we're going to see a lot of new trends coming into play.
It just seems so much like a slam dunk, a no brainer
Mm-hmm.
to do that. So I'm sitting here looking like it's not supposed to be 100%. It shouldn't have took this long. I'm sorry. It shouldn't have.
Well, it probably shouldn't have. But with that, we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break and hear a word from our sponsors. And we're back with We Got Options radio show with the doctor and son. So now we are going to continue our conversation we're having about the trends for 2023 and things we can look forward to with mental health and wellness in the years to come. So we're going to jump right back in. One of the things we talked about a little earlier was mental health, some of the trends with mental health. And I wanted to add that mental health is becoming such a trend for families now that, mental health has become a regular dinner table dialogue sometimes after working all day in school all day for the kids and parents are sitting down with them. That's kind of a concern now, not a concern but a question, and it's kind of, typically that question, how are you, what's going on, but now it's getting to be a little bit more conversational when we're talking about moods and we're talking about emotions and we're talking about, the well-being of family members. What are your thoughts there?
Um, yeah, it has become a bit more of a dialogue and a bit more of a thing. I mean, I think COVID also may have shaped that as well.
Yes, with the workplace and school being
Yeah,
in the home.
yeah.
Absolutely.
With and I mean, with people, especially you live far. If you live far away from your loved ones, you're checking in probably a lot more around that time. You're checking in more readily.
Yes, a lot of families were definitely calling each other more often. A lot of families were definitely checking in. Of course, our family, we were zooming in on each other and checking each other out. I
Yeah,
think we're doing not FaceTime, but the Facebook, um I forgot what you call it, but that Facebook where you can have the whole family on a Facebook group.
um,
We did that a couple of times. I'm sorry, I'm the old school, so I'm still trying to figure out what all these different things name, all these different social
Hey,
media type things, the names are.
all I know about is our text chain. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but yeah, most families are checking in. So it's becoming very families are becoming more proactive with addressing the challenges and different things that are going on, challenges that come up, emerge with kids in school, kids at home trying to go to school and trying to maintain kind of a normalcy of life, I would say.
I mean, it's come back more so now after what 2 3 years.
Yes, yes. Yeah, but as we're still getting into those into the normalcy, I guess, of what we call life, there are more deep conversations about people's well being. Like truly, how are you? What made you happy today? You know?
Well, I mean, that's a lot to do with. I mean, everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at what my generation has to face as 30-year-olds now, it's not the same thing as your generation, what you had to face at 30,
Yes, absolutely.
which for you was just what, like 10 years ago,
10, 15
10,
years
15
ago.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, it's a completely new ballgame. I mean, everything that we're discussing, those are things that could have been discussed before, but no one thought about it before.
Absolutely. I think when it comes down to being, because I'm a mental health professional, I think, we always thought about it, but like I always tell people, a lot of times when we're the first ones on the scene thinking about things, it's kind of hard to try to get it out there. But, mental health, having mental health conversations at a dinner table was something that, of course, we as mental health professionals always promoted. We always promoted, starting conversations at home, that communication, that level of
Mm,
communication and things like that. We always promoted mental health in education.
yeah.
And that's becoming a big trend now, where educators are being more understanding and savvy to what's really going on when it comes down to a child's mental health. That's very much an increased priority now when we
I
look
mean,
at
it's-
education.
I mean, with the certain incidents that have been happening in school, um, a lot of the school shootings,
Hmm.
like between what the past few years,
Yeah,
a lot of course, the teachers would have to like make sure the kids are okay because obviously it hasn't been okay.
right.
If we can't afford to not have that conversation now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think with, like you said, a lot of the school shootings and some of the other things that we've noticed in schools, I hate to say it, but bullying has become a big part of what we're trying to avoid. A lot of times when it comes down to, you know, thinking about making sure that adolescents and young adults are okay. We're trying to, or children, adolescents, and young adults, we're to make sure they're okay. We're always asking, is there any bullying? Do you feel like you're bullied? And that bullying can be happening in school. We try to make sure that bullying, if we're learning about it, we figure out where it's happening. If it's happening at school, even if it's happening at home, but we do try to address those things to the best of our ability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, with that all being said, in terms of like trends and things of that nature, I know that. Well, speaking from our neck of the woods,
Mm-hmm.
um, we're very southern people, and we grew up in the South, so we grew up with
Mm-hmm.
certain types of ideas already implanted in us,
Yes.
and
Ingrained.
yeah,
Yes.
ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed as you got older, you started stepping away from a lot of those things,
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
I'm and it's a good thing that we did because I don't think a lot of the things that we took from back home were would have probably made more of a schism in our family.
Mm-hmm.
Let we'll be less likely to talk to each other or say what we really feel because of how another person may react.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still times like that, but I think you and me have a better rapport now versus when I was in high school,
Absolutely.
in
Yes.
middle school, all that.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think it's because we we're in an environment now where we're a little bit more open, and we do see a lot. I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm just going to say it. We are a family that, mom's a mental health therapist, and then, you guys, my sons, my children who, deal with their own concerns for the most part. I deal with my concerns, but we talk through a lot of things. We strive off of, or thrive off of, communication, making sure that we're, communicating with one another, and that we feel that we have each other's best interest in mind. So I think when we're talking about, mental health and wellness too, we are definitely one of those families who have evolved a good bit.
Yeah, I mean, we were very typical growing up, and it wasn't all we grew into it. I guess as a
Yeah,
family, a lot had happened to us,
absolutely. And
and
education was definitely a big part of that too.
yeah,
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean, I think every parent child, like as the generation go on, we get a little better each time.
absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of times when I'm thinking about a lot of the trends that we are seeing, I think it's taking us in a good direction, even though I always tell people that, some of the things that we just mentioned just now, started talking about technology. We started talking about, the teletherapy. We started talking in virtual therapy. We're talking about social media. We're talking about, vitamins and being able to, watch our fitness level, nutrition, and things of that nature, as well as, just our overall appearance and different things like that, being mindful and things like that. Out of all those things, there are some pros and there are some cons, and hopefully we'll get to a point where the pros can outweigh the cons. You know what I'm saying? There'll be more good that'll come out of it. It's almost like what I say about social media and the whole computer internet thing. I say, there's a lot of great things that have come out of it, and then there's also a lot of not so great things that come out of it as well. But we would hope that the great things will
As
prevail.
most things are.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the other things that I think right now is trending, I mentioned men and women's health.
Hmm.
People are definitely taking care of their health more. People are definitely doing a whole lot more fitness classes, dance classes, yoga classes. People are thinking more about detoxing. I saw something the other day that talked about the digital detox, which is, putting the phone down and let's have dinner, or putting the phone away, turning it off, and let's go to sleep for the entire night.
Yeah,
Different things like that.
definitely have a very storied past
Hmm.
with that.
Absolutely. Just being able to put those things away and really focus on being in the moment, you know?
Hmm.
So, with that, we're going to go ahead and, get some more information, about finishing up with more information about what we are talking here with mental health and wellness and the trends for 2023. But what we're going to do now is go ahead and go to a commercial break. And thank you for tuning back in to We Got Options radio show with the doctor and son. So now we're here just kind of wrapping things up. And one of the things I wanted to talk about in our little wrap up is when we're talking about mental health, some of the big trends that I wanted to just uh, touch bases on real quick is basically yes, there are a lot of mental health wellness apps. Of course, um, online therapy is gaining this popularity as well. We're definitely looking at, when we're talking about on the wellness side, we're actually looking at with fitness and keeping our bodies abreast of what's happening in the community. We're talking about boosting immune health with food and supplements. That's like our vitamins. That's not only our vitamins. We have a lot of things happening with the IV therapy. That's a big trend now, of course, with a lot of the celebrities. And then also just thinking in terms of um, getting our sleep and getting our rest. There's a lot of talk around wellness and sleep. Make sure we're definitely rejuvenating and
Hmm.
we're taking care of ourselves in that way. When we're talking about plant based therapy, eating different plant-based foods and things of that nature. That has become a big trend lately. And it's something that will keep on going forward with us. Definitely wellness in the home, making sure we're addressing mental health for the most part. Sound therapy, that's another big thing. Promoting the relaxation and mental wellness when we're listening to different types of sound therapy, as far as raindrops falling on my head, things of that nature. But those are a lot of things that we are starting to see in the community, and we're starting to see that that's going to be a big trend as we move forward. Other things we talk about, mental health on a mental health platform, as far as us setting boundaries for ourselves, making sure that we're on top of things, healing that inner child, talking about resting again, talking that sleep stuff. But those are a lot of things that we have to think about when we're talking about our mental health and our wellness. Also being open to diagnosing and diagnoses. That is something that is a big trend with the younger generation right now. A lot of people are talking about that, and people are actually sharing what their diagnosis is and what they are doing to help. Like, people talk about depression. What they're talking about is how to combat depression, and sharing that with other individuals as to what they've done to work on that. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's been that kind of advancement, and in terms of everything, because I think we've come to a point where everyone has issues.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to have issues. It's okay not to be perfect.
Absolutely.
You hear it, but we've heard it many, many times, but we haven't really taken it seriously. Because people still strive for perfection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I just think, with that being said, with these last few minutes here, I definitely feel like as we're moving into the rest of the months of 2023 at this point, I do believe we'll start to see more advancements, more different things coming out when we're talking about mental health and wellness. And we will continue to try to be the best that we can when it comes down to taking care of ourselves. And with that being said, thanks again for tuning in and joining us this week. Make sure you tune in next week for our 8:30 a.m. Friday show, We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. See you next time.